In this episode of Boulder County Lifestyles, we're going to cover the 5 significant changes in Boulder County to anticipate for the year 2026. Now that we're well into the spring of 2026, there are some very interesting and important factors to take into account as to what is happening right here in Boulder County. So I want to first welcome you again to Boulder County Lifestyles, the YouTube channel where we cover all things Boulder County and beyond. Be sure to click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We cover real estate, the dining scene, social entertainment, iconic locations, all things Boulder County and Colorado. We cover it here with our primary focus, of course, being the real estate market. So the 5 factors we're going to cover all have some type of implication on the real estate market itself. Let's dive in. But before we get into the 5 changes, I want to give you a quick snapshot of where the Boulder County real estate market actually stands right now as we head into the heart of 2026, because context matters. You can't really understand the changes we're about to discuss without understanding the baseline we're working from. Here's the reality. Boulder County remains one of the most expensive real estate markets in the entire country. The median home price in the city of Boulder is hovering right around $1.26 million as of the most recent data, and single-family homes are averaging closer to $1.5 million. Condos and townhomes come in at a more modest average around $460,000, but even that number puts Boulder well out of reach for a lot of working families. For context, the national median home price is roughly $420,000. Boulder is nearly triple that. Now, we have seen some softening. Home values in Boulder are down modestly, about 2 to 3% year over year, and homes are sitting on the market a bit longer than they were during the frenzy of 2021 and 2022. Average days on market in the city of Boulder reached 121 days in January, the highest in a decade. That's actually good news for buyers who felt locked out during the height of the market. Inventory has expanded and sellers need to price accurately and present well to move their homes. But here's the thing, this is not a distressed market. Homes are still selling at about 96% of asking price. Buyer activity picked up strongly coming into 2026, with homes under contract up 28% year over year in January. The under $2 million single family segment in particular saw pending activity jump 75% compared to the same time last year. So the market is active. It's just more balanced than it was. The broader Boulder County picture, including Longmont, Louisville, Lafayette, Erie, Superior, and Niwot, shows similar patterns. Median prices in Longmont are more accessible, currently around $564,000, which is why we're seeing more buyer interest push outward from the city. For sellers, understanding where your specific property sits in this landscape is critical. And for buyers, this window of relative balance before rates potentially drop further and competition heats back up is worth taking seriously. Okay, with that foundation in place, let's talk about the 5 changes that'll shape this market through the rest of 2026. Change number 1, the continued transformation of downtown Boulder and its urban spaces. Change number 1 is one of the most exciting ones, and it's been building momentum for the past decade or more. But in 2026, we're going to see continued transformation in Boulder's urban core. We're talking about public spaces, green spaces, how those spaces are revitalized, optimized, and utilized for community use. Downtown Boulder is gearing up for a major moment. The Sundance Festival is relocating to Boulder in 2027, which also marks the 50th anniversary of the Pearl Street Mall, giving the city 2 enormous high-profile milestones that are attracting national attention. The energy around that is real. Downtown Boulder Partnership is exploring new marketing strategy and potential policy changes to better support local businesses. And Boulder City Council has requested that staff explore creating a downtown development authority, a governmental entity that could facilitate economic development and infrastructure investment. The City of Boulder is also seeking an innovative development partner for the east bookend of its downtown civic area, the stretch near the Dushanbe Tea House, the Boulder Farmers Market, adjacent to Boulder Creek, and just blocks from Pearl Street Mall and CU Boulder. The vision includes a vibrant mix of community, retail, arts, culture, health, and recreation spaces. And right now on Pearl Street, new shops and retailers continue to arrive, from art studios to resale fashion, keeping the corridor fresh and dynamic. Presently, one of the most impressive infrastructure stories unfolding in Boulder County right now is the expansion of its bike path network. And this one is generally worth paying attention to because the scale and ambition of what's being built here is extraordinary. Boulder has always been one of the most bike-forward communities in the country, but what's happening now takes it to an entirely different level. The county is in the process of building an extensive connected bikeway system that links multiple communities across the entire region. The existing network that runs from Boulder northwest through Louisville and out to Broomfield has long been one of the county's great assets, giving cyclists a real viable route between two of the county's most populated corridors. But now that network is being connected to something truly significant, the Diagonal Bikeway. This is a 9-mile, fully separated, paved concrete path being built right in the median of Colorado Highway 119, the Diagonal, connecting downtown Boulder all the way to Longmont. The total investment in this corridor project is $165 million. It includes not just the bikeway, but new bus rapid transit lanes and stations, as well under a service that has already been branded the Diagonal Flyer. What makes this bikeway special and what separates it from a painted bike lane or a shared recreational path is the engineering behind it. The path will be 12 feet wide in most sections. It will travel underneath the major cross streets along the Diagonal through a series of underpasses at intersections like J Road, Niwot Road, and Colorado 52. That means cyclists won't have to stop at major intersections or mix with the traffic at all. The path is truly separated. Construction is actively underway right now, with the full project expected to become complete by early 2027, though portions could open as soon as late 2026. There's also a deep human story behind this project. In August 2023, a 17-year-old cyclist named Magnus White, a member of the U.S. national cycling team training for the UCI World Championships, was struck and killed by a driver on the Diagonal Highway. That tragedy gave this project an urgency and emotional weight that it might not have otherwise had. The community rallied around the need for a fully separated bikeway. And what we're seeing under construction today is in many ways a tribute to Magnus and every other cyclist who has been harmed on that road. When complete, this network, the Broomfield to Boulder to Longmont bikeway system, will give residents of Boulder County a protected, continuous route connecting some of the most populated and fast-growing communities in the region without ever getting in a car. We're not quite Amsterdam yet, but Boulder County is taking serious, committed, funded steps in that direction. And the Diagonal Bikeway is as tangible a sign as any that this region has made a real choice about how it wants people to get around. And yes, this has real estate implications. Proximity to protected bike infrastructure is increasingly a selling point for buyers, particularly the tech, health, and outdoor-oriented professionals choosing Boulder County as their permanent home base. Properties with easy access to these corridors will see that reflected in buyer interest as the network comes fully online. These urban investments don't come without challenges, of course. Gentrification is a real factor. Every weekday, approximately 60,000 people, roughly half of Boulder's entire workforce, communicate into the city because they simply cannot afford to live here. Employment in Boulder has grown twice as fast as population between 2010 and 2020. And that imbalance is driving congestion, greenhouse gas emissions, and skyrocketing housing costs. So the transformation happening in our downtown and across our corridors is exciting, but it has to be balanced thoughtfully. And that brings us directly to change number 2. Change number 2, how Boulder County is addressing affordable housing. The city of Boulder has set up a goal for 15% of all homes in the city to be permanently affordable by 2035. In 2025 alone, the city added 242 new affordable homes and announced its largest ever single-year investment in the Affordable Housing Fund, $21.3 million distributed to 2 organizations to build and rehabilitate affordable units. At the county level, Boulder County extended its existing 0.185% sales and use tax for 15 years, specifically for the purposes of funding affordable and attainable housing and related support services, with no increase to the existing tax rate. That's a real commitment from voters and leaders alike. That said, the median home price value in Boulder County has reached approximately $713,000. And there's an income gap of about $75,000 between renters and homeowners, a disparity that is deepening racial and economic inequities across the county. The challenge is not just building more units, it's ensuring that the people who serve this community, people like teachers, nurses, service workers, can actually afford to live here. The median home price in Boulder today is hovering around $945,000 to $1.26 million, depending on property type, and condos average around $460,000, while single-family homes average $1.5 million. When you're looking at home numbers, affordability is not just a talking point. It's a genuine crisis for working families, and it is something Boulder County legislators and city leaders will be wrestling with and acting on throughout 2026. The county has also been navigating some tension around how best to deploy its Housing Innovation Fund, a $500,000 fund designed to pilot new strategies for expanding equitable access to housing. This is still being worked through, and it underscores something important. We have a pretty good idea of what the solutions are. We really just need the resources, the political will, and the urgency to match the scale of the problem. This will be a major ongoing story throughout 2026. Change number 3, wildfires, climate risk, and the insurance crisis. Change number 3 is one of the most consequential ones for real estate, and it's unique to Colorado in a way that doesn't apply to most other states. The intersection of wildfire risk, climate-driven disasters, and a rapidly deteriorating insurance market. Most people who think about Boulder County think about its beauty, the Flatirons, the open space, the proximity to the mountains. But that same geography comes with serious wildfire risk, and that risk is now directly impacting what it costs to own a home here. The Marshall Fire in Boulder County remains the state's most destructive wildfire on record. An estimated 3/4 of people who lost their homes in that fire didn't have enough homeowners insurance to cover the rebuilding costs. Think about that. 75% of the people were underinsured for the biggest disaster of their lives. I live right here in the heart of Boulder County, and lucky enough, my family and many others were fortunate enough not to lose their homes to the fire. The positive aspect of the Marshall Fire brought this community together, and we all worked arm in arm to rebuild the lives of the people and the homes of our neighbors. A CU Boulder study examining nearly 5,000 policyholders who filed claims after the Marshall Fire found that 74% were underinsured and 36% were classified as severely underinsured, meaning that their coverage was less than 75% of their home's actual replacement value. And the insurance situation has only gotten harder since then. Boulder Reporting Lab heard more than 20 residents across Boulder County, including in Boulder, Superior, Netherland, Erie, Lafayette, and Longmont, who recently lost coverage or saw premiums spike. Half saw their premiums double, For a few, they nearly tripled. At least 6 owners in or near Boulder's wildland-urban interface said their insurers dropped them entirely. Colorado now holds the nation's 4th highest average homeowners premium at about $4,600 per year, up roughly 58% since 2018. In the foothills and mountain areas of Boulder County, some homeowners are seeing averages well above $7,500 a year. We also need to talk about the 2013 flood, which was devastating for many communities along the Front Range, including parts of Boulder County. That event was a reminder that it's not just fire, it's flash flooding, rising creek levels, and the kind of sustained rainfall that our region's terrain simply wasn't built to absorb at the volumes we're now seeing with climate change. Both wildfire and flood events have permanently changed how insurers price risk in this area. And that has very different applications and direct applications on what it costs to own a home here and whether some properties are even insurable at all. In response, Colorado passed a law in 2025 requiring insurance companies to be more transparent about how they calculate rates in wildfire-prone areas. And companies must now explain ways that homeowners can mitigate to potentially lower the risk and the rates. Boulder County's own Wildfire Partners program has performed more than 4,000 home assessments since its founding. And in 2022, voters in Boulder County approved a tax to help fund the program. Getting your home certified through Wildfire Partners is something every homeowner in the foothills and mountain areas of the county should be seriously exploring. It is proven to save homes. And in this insurance environment, it may be the difference between keeping your coverage and losing it. Now, I want to take a moment to explain something that every Boulder County homeowner and prospective buyer needs to understand: the Colorado FAIR Plan. Because if you're one of the high-risk areas in our county and you haven't heard of this, it could directly affect you. The FAIR Plan, which stands for Fair Access to Insurance Requirements, is a state-backed insurance program that Colorado signed into law in 2023 and officially launched in April 2025. The concept is straightforward. It's designed to be a last resort option for homeowners who cannot find coverage through traditional private insurers. Think of it as the safety net under the safety net. Here's how it works. To qualify, you have to demonstrate that at least 3 standard insurance companies have declined to cover your property. You can't simply decide you'd prefer the FAIR Plan over private insurance. You have to have been turned away first. Once you qualify, you work with a licensed insurance agent to apply, and the FAIR Plan will provide basic coverage for your home. But, and this is a really important factor, the FAIR Plan is not a replacement for standard insurance. The coverage is limited. It only covers the actual cash value of your home, not what it would cost to fully rebuild or replace it. And the premiums are not cheap because the risk pool is made up exclusively of high-risk properties. The rates tend to be higher than private market options. The residential coverage limit is capped at $750,000 for homeowners in Boulder County whose properties are worth well above that. That gap between coverage and actual value is a serious problem. In its first few months of operation, only about 51 homeowners statewide signed up for the FAIR Plan. That low number tells you one of two things. Either people don't know it exists, or they found other options in the surplus lines market. But as more private carriers pull back from the foothills and mountain areas of Boulder County, that number will grow. And knowing the FAIR Plan exists and exactly what it does and doesn't cover is essential information for anyone owning or buying a property in the wildland urban interface areas of our county. The bottom line on insurance in 2026 is this: whether you're in Louisville, Superior, Netherland, or the foothills above Boulder, do not assume your coverage is adequate. Review your policy. Know your replacement cost. Talk to your agent about whether you're in an area where carriers are pulling back. And if you're in a high-risk zone, look into Wildfire Partners certification. It is one of the only tools currently available that has been shown to actually influence whether carriers will insure your home and at what rate. Okay, change number 4, the rise in property taxes. Change number 4 is something that every Boulder County homeowner needs to be paying close attention to right now, and that is the significant increase in property taxes. When Boulder County property owners receive their 2025 property tax bills, which most have already come, payable in 2026, there were some important changes. The $55,000 value reduction that helped lower taxes in 2024 has been eliminated, and residential properties now use 2 assessment rates, one for schools and one for other local services such as the county, city, and fire districts. Colorado homeowners are seeing significant increases due to the expiration of that temporary $55,000 valuation reduction. The 2025 property tax bill arriving in the mail, or may have already arrived, contains up to 40% higher taxes depending on the home's market and previous valuation. That's not a small number. For many families, that's hundreds of extra dollars per year, on top of already elevated insurance costs. Most Colorado homeowners will have to pay higher property taxes in 2026, regardless of whether they saw any changes in their property value, because of the phase-in of higher permanent assessment rates. While Colorado still has one of the lower effective residential property tax rates nationally at about 0.49%, compared to the national average of 0.90%, the rapid increase in home values combined with the end of pandemic-era relief measures means many residents are feeling the squeeze. The combination of rising insurance premiums and rising property taxes is a 1-2 punch that is compressing affordability from both ends. It's not just the purchase price of a home anymore, it's the total cost of ownership. As a homeowner, you need to understand what your true carrying costs are, because this is part of what's driving conversations about whether Boulder County remains accessible for middle-income families over the long term. This is a major 2026 story. Now, change number 5, remote and hybrid work and what it means for where people choose to live. Number 5 weighs in heavily on real estate because we're talking about people making decisions on whether to buy, sell, or relocate, and work is the central factor driving those decisions. Many people who are committed to Boulder County are coming from out of state or even internationally. They found this area through content like this, through word of mouth, through the lifestyles that Boulder County represents. And while there are major employers right here, from the University of Colorado to a thriving tech and biotech sector, we're finding more and more in 2026 is that hybrid work schedules are not just trending. The corporate world has largely converged on a consistent model. Most companies now require 2 to 3 days per week in the office. Most employees actually prefer this arrangement over both full-time remote and full-time in-office options. Remote work and hybrid employment continue to play major roles in Boulder's real estate market. Many tech and creative professionals now view Boulder not only as a lifestyle destination, but as a permanent home base. And that matters because it means people who were previously tied to San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, or New York are now choosing to put down roots right here in Boulder County. What does that mean practically? It means buyers don't necessarily have to be within a 30-minute commute of Denver. If you only need to go into the office 2 or 3 days a week, you can live in Longmont, Erie, Lafayette, Superior, or even further into the county and still have a very comfortable arrangement. It expands the map of where people are willing to look, and it's putting pressure on communities throughout Boulder County that might not have seen that level of demand even 5 or 10 years ago. On the sell side, we're also seeing homeowners who are now able to work remotely consider whether they want to stay in Boulder County or take their equity and relocate somewhere with a lower cost of living, somewhere their dollar goes further, whether that's elsewhere in Colorado or another state entirely. Remote work has given people options that simply didn't exist before, and that flexibility is reshaping buying and selling decisions in very real ways throughout 2026. Those are the 5 major changes happening right here in Boulder County in 2026. The transformation of downtown Boulder and its urban spaces, including the extraordinary Diagonal Bikeway now under construction, the ongoing push to address affordable housing in one of the nation's most expensive markets, the wildfire and flood-driven insurance crisis, and what the new Colorado Fair Plan means for homeowners in our region, rising property taxes, and the true cost of ownership that every homeowner needs to understand. And finally, the lasting impact of remote and hybrid work on where people choose to live and how far their dollar goes. All 5 of these have direct implications on the real estate market, and all 5 are conversations we're going to be continuing on this big channel. If you are a buyer considering a move to Boulder County, by all means, reach out. The description has everything you need to connect. If you're a homeowner, even if you're not thinking about selling right now, you should have an accurate market analysis every single year. You have a major asset in your portfolio, and knowing its value is just smart stewardship. This is a community, and we want to hear from you. Stay tuned for the next episode, and I'll see you next time on my channel, Boulder County Lifestyles. Thank you for watching.